Okay, welcome to this latest episode of the Shots Pod. You know by now, this is where we discuss all things Aldershot Town FC. We're joined by guests, we're joined by players, and as always, we're joined by my dad, Howard Flint. Dad, how you doing?
Really well, thank you, Liam. Yeah, looking forward to chatting with Ollie.
Yeah, people will be thinking, what, Ollie Scott, another Ollie? Which Ollie have we got? No, we have Ollie Bray, the young Ollie Bray with us. Ollie, great to have you, mate. How you doing on your day off?
No, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it a lot. I'm looking forward to it.
It's all right. People will be keen to know what you're actually doing with the day off, why you're not in the gym, why you're not working hard. But I'm sure you've got a good answer for us.
Yeah, well, usually the day before the day off, I have like a gym session, a strong gym session, and then on the day off, I just relax, maybe go to the spa and pool and whatnot, and then just literally play FIFA and relax, keep my feet up a little bit.
Wow, sounds like a tough day, doesn't it, Dan?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, sounds like one of your days at work, Liam, actually.
Yeah, a bit less FIFA. I can't get away with that quite as much, but yeah, all the stereotypes are coming out for sure. But we won't bully you about that, Ollie. We'll take it seriously.
That's
But yeah,
fine.
it's really good to have you, Ollie. I know we're still obviously fresh in the season. People are making their predictions. We've chatted to Tommy about what the season's going to hold. We've spoken to Jack Barham. So it'd be great to just get your thoughts as well on the first few games. What would you say? We're a few games in. Would you say the squad's content? Are you happy with how it's gone so far? With a few wins, couple of defeats that you could say were avoidable. Where are you at with it all?
Yeah, I mean, I think we started obviously pre-season very strongly, very well. And then going into the season, we were really looking forward to it, especially with the group of players that we have. I think we've got a very strong side, and obviously we're aiming for playoffs as we just missed out on it last season. But yeah, I think there was a few results that have been and gone that we maybe should have won, but we look back at stats and passes and possession and expected goals, and they all were on our side. So there's not really much we could do about that, to be honest. I mean, that's football. But yeah, I think the season started quite brightly, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think that's fair reflection, Dad. Bright with some opportunities, and of course we always want more, but it's been a decent start, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I was talking to somebody the other day at the match on Saturday, and we've got 10 points now, haven't we?
Yeah.
And when you think 50 is always the sort of benchmark of we need 50 to survive, which sounds a bit negative, but actually, if you think if 50 generally keeps you safe, we're already a fifth of the way there after 6 games, and there's 40 games to go. So that suggests, I think, that we've got a good squad, got lots of games to play. But no, I think it's been typical of Aldershot Town, which is totally unpredictable, totally off the wall. I got home on Saturday, Ollie, and my wife said, "How did it go? How's your blood pressure?" And I just said, "Madness." Because it was, wasn't it? It was mad game.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, you can never predict what's going to happen at the EBB, to be honest.
Yeah.
You can never predict it. I call it the fortress. But yeah, it's been very entertaining so far. But all home results have gone quite well. So we're hoping to keep that pushing throughout the season.
Yeah. And what's the mood in the camp like so far, Ollie? You mentioned about a couple of defeats. I mean, Braintree and Tamworth disappointing. But how's the mood generally? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the mood within the squad, we were disappointed with obviously both of them results, because obviously both teams that we lost against have only come up to this league last season, and obviously from a fan's perspective, we should be winning them sort of games. But it's new teams, new players, and even new styles of play. Like, we like to get down, play through the midfield, play through the passing lanes, but other teams like bombing it forward, sticking it in your box, like kind of like a doggy way of playing football. But that's football. But Yeah, there's definitely a good spirit within the camp, and with throughout all the players. We noticed that in pre-season we all get along very well, and yeah, the gaffer's happy with it all, I think, as well.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, it does feel like there's a very like interesting mentality. So you said like the Fortress EBB.
Mm.
It feels like when we rock up on a Saturday, it could be anyone. It could be the big teams, it could be small teams. There's just an inevitability about it that we're going to score a few goals. We're probably going to win. Already this season, like the Oldham game at home, we played so well, and then everyone gets so nervous when we go away to the Tamworths because we see it coming. The
Yeah.
Oxford Cities last season, we're all a bit like, oh.
Yeah.
So within the squad, I mean, obviously you guys are in the best position. Are you also thinking, what is there a bit of a mentality difference? What do we need to change? Are you guys aware of it as well?
To be honest, I wouldn't be too sure on it, but I think I was saying it to Maxwell Mullins when we were rocking up on a home game. I think it might have been the Oldham game, and I just said like, there's nothing better than coming here on a Saturday and just being with all the fans. Like you know that we're gonna get a result, whether that's a draw or a win. Like I think there's definitely a big part in the. I don't know whether you've heard the saying, but there's the fans are like the 12th man,
Yeah.
and it does spur you on, especially when you're playing. You obviously notice it a lot, and I think maybe that could play a part, especially in away games. But that's kind of what needs to change. We need to just concede less goals away from home and score more, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, away days can be tough, Dan, can't they? I remember the years gone by, we've done Aldershot away days where we've gone to Dagenham, we've gone to Grays Athletic, and it does just feel, obviously you're in like enemy territory the whole time, but it just feels uncomfortable, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and that's part of the beauty, isn't it, of home and away, that you play play every team home and away, and often they're very different results. I mean, we lost 5-1 at Oldham last season, Ollie, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was before you arrived, but we got thumped 5-1. And Josh Stokes said to us, that was the scariest atmosphere he'd ever experienced in terms of imposing ground. So I don't think we should underestimate how powerful it is, really. And I think what we've noticed in the last couple of years since the gaffer came is that the crowd are very much behind the team, even if we go a goal down or even 2 down, like Maidenhead last year. I think we can remember, Liam, years ago, not that many years ago, where if we went a goal down at home, it would be groan and sort of instantly a negative vibe, whereas I think it's very positive, isn't it? Does it feel that on the pitch?
Yeah, for sure. I'd definitely say that playing away, especially when you've got, as a player, you try and just blur it all out and just in through one ear, out the other, but you hear what opposition fans are saying to you, and it can play a part, but as a player you learn to just blur it out. But for sure, like at home games, when you've got that, maybe if you're taking a throw in or whether it's a corner and you hear like one singular fan out of the thousands, like like, come on, Ollie, like, come on, like, keep going. Like, it does spur you on, and it's just a bit of extra motivation. And then when you've got away fans saying effing and jeffing at you, like, you can't really. It's hard to sink out, but you try and learn to live with it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It's part of the game.
Yeah. Well, there was none of that on Saturday. As we've already said, good result at the EBB. It was rocking 4-3. When you were on the bench, Ollie, as you were just taking this in, is it fun for you as well? Like, do you personally enjoy this style of play where you're confident you're going to win, but it could be 6-4, 5-3 rather than, like a cagey 2-0 where you nick it? Do you like that as a player?
Yeah, I'd say it's always entertaining to watch. Obviously more goals, for sure. And whether it's being on the bench or not being in the squad at all, you always want your team to win. You're always behind your players. But personally, I'd probably say it's better for the squad if it's like a 2-0 scrape because you've kept a clean sheet and you've scored 2 goals. But of course, I'd say probably for fans, it's probably different. For, you're going to a game, you've won 5-3, you're buzzing with the result. But for us, it's like we've won the game, but we've conceded 3 goals. So we try and analyze that and see where we went wrong from it. But yeah, I'd say a clean sheet is a massive thing for us. We're always wanting to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Dad, you had a bone to pick with Ollie, didn't you, about his behaviour in the 90+ fifth minute when we're trying to wind the clock down?
Yeah, I had a question, Ollie, which just because I observed this, and I guess I've been to lots of games. So let me paint the picture for you. You know exactly what's coming. So you got on with about 5 minutes to go, didn't you?
Yeah.
Something like that, which is great. It's great to see you get on, by the way. It was fantastic, I think. And everyone, was behind the team at that point, but it was edgy. And you took the ball into the corner on the right-hand side, the East Bank end. And I think there were about 4 players around you. And I just wondered if you got any feedback from the management about what you did next.
What about when I kicked it in the box?
You did?
Yeah, I spoke to Rich literally straight after the game, and he asked me, he said, "Oh, like, why would you try and cross it?" And I said, "You know what I was trying to do? I was trying to kick it off the defender so it would go out for a throw-in or a corner."
Yeah.
And he said, "Right, that makes sense," because I said, "It's the 93rd minute. We're 4-3 up. Like, I'm not trying to score another goal. I'm trying to just hold out the 3 points."
No.
No, but I've thought about that a lot, actually. I've thought about that for the past few days. I thought he should have just tried to win a foul or something like that.
Yeah. Well, the reason I mentioned it was because it was a real moment for me. I mean, I enjoy the atmosphere and everything that's going on and people around me that I've known for years. But when you did that, obviously holding it in the corner, we know it's called game management, which is a nonsense in some way because it never used to exist. And in the old days, Ollie, in my day, you were absolutely right because we'd still be trying to score goal. It would be like, I'm going to cross this. I'm in the corner. Why would I take it in the corner and fall over? But actually, when you crossed it, and of course it went into the area, there were no shots players within about 40 yards of the ball. And I don't know if you heard it, but the crowd went, because we could see that they were going to break. And I'm sure Richard, when he was debriefing you, it was like, give them the ball and they will try and break because they're trying to look for an equaliser. So it was just a magic moment. I thought, poor Ollie, he's 23, he's young. Was he trying to do something clever or was it just one of those things? So
it was. Even when I saw it didn't come off any of the defenders, I thought, no, this can't be happening right now. This can't be happening. I've just come back from injury from pre-season, like 5 minutes I've been on the pitch. This can't happen to me right now. The gaffer's instructions when I came on were just, run about, press, don't let them score. So
yeah.
Job done.
Well, thankfully nothing happened of it, but it was just a wonderful miniature moment for me. And to be honest, a learning moment for you, isn't it? It's like you won't do that again deliberately. It might happen, but you certainly won't be looking to cross the ball in the 96th minute if we're leading in the future. So it's all learning. So
exactly.
So that was my bone to pick. My bone to pick. Actually, it's just a sort of fan to player little question. But you've been with us a year now. November, nearly a year. How do you feel it's been going? You haven't had. I don't think you've had a start yet, have you?
No. I mean, no.
How do you see it progressing?
Pardon?
How do you see it progressing for you?
Well, I'm hoping to be involved a lot more this season, obviously, than last season. But I knew full well when I was signing that I wasn't just going to walk into the squad because the squad was doing so well, especially when Reverend was scoring goals and obviously Barnet was scoring goals too. And I had a feeling that a loan would have been the idea. And then I picked up an injury. And then I think with new environments and things going on at home, I had shingles just before Christmas. So I had a few weeks off. I rested up well, and then, funnily enough, we were allowed more substitutions and more subs on the bench for the West Brom game. So I got brought to that game, not expecting to get on at all, but so I'd made my debut against Woking on New Year's Day for the last 5 or 10 minutes, and then was involved at the West Brom game and thought, like if I come on, then I'm just gonna put myself about, because the Woking game was kind of like a wake up call, like this is your job, it's time to work, like. But yeah, that was obviously a surreal moment coming from where I came from at Willand Rovers, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a great finish, Ollie, wasn't it? Your goal, it was fantastic to score. I know we lost the game, lost the tie, but it was a smart finish, and you must be proud of that.
Yeah, it was obviously such a surreal moment. I had my girlfriend at the time and her family in the stands. I had my own family in the stands. I had a few friends there as well. So it was kind of like, at the end, I hadn't really realized what I'd done until maybe the day after. And I'd probably watched the goal an unhealthy amount of times, but yeah, I was buzzing with it, and I thought it would give me a confidence boost, especially if I got a loan spell.
Sure.
And then when I got the loan spell that I to Truro, I managed to score on my debut there too. So I'd say for this season, it's just obviously getting more minutes and putting myself about, hopefully score a few goals. And yeah, just trying to impress, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's natural, isn't it? Everyone wants more minutes, and it's a squad game. We know that, and you're working your way through. But are you the kind of player who is patient and you'll kind of bide your time, or are you someone who's pretty vocal? You'll be knocking on Tommy's door saying, "Can we have a chat? What do I need to do? Coaches, what do I need to do?" Like, what's your character on these kind of things? How do you cope?
I mean, yeah, I'm still young. I mean, I know you said earlier I was 23. I'm actually 21.
Wow.
Sorry. So,
aging.
Okay. So I'm still young. I'm still learning a lot in terms of the striker role, in terms of hold up play and when to get in behind, because my strength is pace and getting in behind. But yeah, I'm still learning, especially when you've got experienced players like Jack Barham, been around as well. So I'm obviously still learning. But yeah, patience is key for everything in life. And yeah, I wouldn't. We're only 6 games in, so I wouldn't be knocking at the gaffer's door just yet. But he did say to me last season, he said, the loan spells you had, all the managers have said nothing but good things about you, and all you need to do is put yourself about in pre-season, which I felt like I did. I scored a few goals and whatnot. So yeah, I think he was happy with all of that. It was just the hamstring injury was just like devastating for me on a personal note against the Crawley game, because it was actually the first time I'd actually started in the starting 11 against Crawley, and then picked up an injury about half an hour in. But yeah, I'm just ready to kick on this season and ready for what the season brings, to be honest.
Yeah, it's coming. Your time is coming then.
Exactly. It's all about timings.
And you're 21, just on record. You're 21. Yeah, we get it. So I just picked up that the 4 million views of that West Brom Aldershot YouTube is actually you, Ollie. You've seen them all.
Yeah, that's probably me viewing it 4 million times. Yeah.
Rinse and repeat.
Now, Liam, now we understand why it's so well watched. It's Ollie. Yeah. Ollie. So, Ollie, just thinking about the gaffer, you mentioned the gaffer giving you some feedback. What's he been impressing on you this season? You've touched on it, but what's he been saying to you? And do you have any goals that you can share with us?
Yeah, well, I'd say I'm aiming to try and score at least 5 goals this season, because I know I won't be in the starting 11 a lot of the time, but coming on from the bench, getting the odd goal and assist. But I'd say the strength that the gaffer really wants me to put myself about with is like using my physicality, like my pace, my height, to its full potential. And especially because I'm relatively big, it's more of my hold-up play that I need work on, because he knows that I can get in behind the defence. He knows 8-9 times out of 10 I'm going to be there when in behind when when they need me. But yeah, I'd say there's a lot of things in training like that we do, and then I do extras, especially with Christian, because obviously he's a big lump as well. So you've got to come up against these kind of defenders when you're playing in the league. So I always drag him after training when he wants to go in. I say, give me like 5 or 10 minutes just to do some hold up play. But yeah, I'm just trying to work on all my weaknesses and try and reach the full potential. Obviously, I've still got quite a lot of time to do that, but I've only got this season left on my contract, so we'll see how everything goes.
Yeah.
Liam,
could you note that down, please, for when we talk to Christian, that Ollie says he's a lump?
Yeah.
He knows it. He knows it too. He's 6'5", and he's built like a... Yeah, he's built like anything.
Yeah, he's definitely a good choice to work with for your hold-up play. And it is interesting just looking at where you fit with like our wider forwards, and just we've got maybe 5 or 6 players you can play at the top of the pitch now. Obviously, with Kwame going, we've had Kai come in. Haddy's obviously now getting more of a role. Jack's back from injury. So how would you say, in terms of what fans can expect, your style, how do you differ from that? Obviously, you've said you've got pace to go in behind, but do you see where you can offer certain things that they can't and where you can fit in? Because it's competitive, isn't it?
I'm always giving a bit of banter to like the quick players in the team, especially Luke Jenkins, because obviously we wear GPSs in training, so we always know what our top speeds are. And I'm always giving Luke, especially because I live with him a few days a week, like I'm quicker than you and this and that. But yeah, I'd say Kai and Haddy are more players that like getting on the ball and dribbling, and Haddy's especially his hold up play is very, very good, which obviously I'm learning from. But I'm more like a Jack Barham, where it's winning headers, getting in behind. I'd say heading is a very strong attribute too, and we all offer different attributes to the game, which is good, which gives the gaffer the variety of what he needs, especially when he's analysing the opposition to what we need for that game.
And using a 10 or even 2 10s, which we've done in the past, I think is quite it's worked well for us, hasn't it? The last 2 seasons under Tommy. Yeah,
it has, for sure. Yeah, the 2 10s are, I think, it's working very well, especially with an experienced player like James Henry coming in too.
Yeah,
like I think Kai's learning off him as well, and just the positions that he picks up are what an intelligent and experienced player would do. So yeah, and obviously they can come up with the 9s as well, so it does help the singular striker too. But yeah, especially because with the 2 10s there's 2 6s as well, so it's almost like a box. But and the way that Theo has been playing at the moment as well has been superbly. He's come back as a new player in my eyes, but yeah, it's working very well.
Yeah.
The impact that James Henry's had is putting you all to shame. He's come in, walked in, 5 goals, I think it is already, living his best life.
Yeah, he is. He's
doing really well.
He's done superbly well. But I don't think we were expecting him to come in and do this well, but we knew he was going to do relatively well, pick up assists, maybe a few goals, but 5 assists in the first 6 games is not what we expected, to be honest.
Yeah. If I was Tommy, Liam, I'd be taking wages off the 21-year-olds and giving it to the 35-year-old. That's what
he deserves it. I'll give him some of my wages.
That would be my motivational skill. I would do that. Yeah. Just a word about. I just jump in about Theo. You probably know, Ollie, that it's been a tough ride. We had a really good chat with Theo, didn't we, Liam? A little while ago. It's been a tough ride for Theo because he got a lot of what we felt was unwarranted stick, largely because he was the gaffer's son, and the whole thing about nepotism, and and he had time to adjust like you needed to, from coming from King's Lynn and stuff. But all the people around me this year, all the regulars are saying how well Theo is playing. He does look a different player. Of course, he's playing slightly different position. Well, he's playing with different partners now, and I think that's helped him. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I'd say it's a lot better for a player if you've played with a player that's playing next to your position. Obviously, he's playing with Cammy at the moment, and he played with Cammy at Kings Lynn and at Bristol Rovers. So
yeah.
I think that does help him a lot. They know the positions that they're going to pick up it themselves in. But yeah, we even said in pre-season, like, he's obviously worked hard in pre-season with on the ball and his fitness too. But yeah, I think if you're the gaffer's son, there's always going to be a little bit of grief there. But at the end of the day, the gaffer wouldn't bring a player in if he wasn't good enough. So just because he's the gaffer's son doesn't mean that, like, it's his son, of course he's going to bring him in. That's not the case at all. Like, Theo's more than good enough to play at this level, and even in the EFL, especially with the season that he's been having at the moment.
Yeah. Actually, that's what Tommy said to us, Liam, isn't it? He actually said that Theo was here on merit, on stats, because obviously he recruits with Jamie on the basis of stats. So, it's sort of box entries and successful passes and headers and winning headers and stuff. So they're not just picking people they fancy, are they?
No, definitely not.
Yeah, it's always stats driven. Yeah, and I think Tommy said Theo was always in the top 3 or top 5 for this, and actually ground covered and turnovers, all these kind of things he was very clear on. So yeah, you're right. I think he's got a new lease of life. I mean, James Henry's been such a good addition, and just generally it does feel, Tommy's spoken to us about maybe moving away from that, relying on the key figure to get us a goal, to win us a game, like a Stokes, like a Tollage, and a bit more of we're having goals chipping in from all over the place, and I think we feel that as fans already. But for sure, definitely that Bristol Rovers, that Kings Lynn funnel is a fruitful one of just bringing players through from one to the next. Tommy's got a good funnel going there, so it's working out pretty well for all those players.
Yeah.
Ollie, just slightly away from football, obviously, just as we get to know, what makes you tick and what you're all about. I noticed something on your social media bios. You have a cross on your social media, which is interesting. I mean, you put it there for a reason. Do you want to just explain what that represents to you? What's that about?
Yeah, well, I'm a Catholic. I always used to go to church as a young boy with my grandmother. And I think maybe as I got slightly older, I lost faith a little bit. Maybe when I was in high school, but I'd say maybe towards the end of high school, I started getting faith back a little bit, and believed in my beliefs back as well, and especially from the passing of my grandmother. I've taken my religion relatively seriously. I mean, I go to church when I can, and I think always praying is a good way of keeping sanity and hope too.
Yeah.
And I suppose a natural question that the supporters would ask if they were on this, Ollie, is why is your faith important? Can you sort of expound on why it's important to you?
I think everyone's got to have a little bit of faith, and I think every human being has some sort of faith and belief, whether that's, I don't know, everyone has their own beliefs, and to me, everything is in God's hands and in God's timing. When the time's right, he'll put you in certain positions and certain situations that maybe you're not comfortable with, but you can learn from, definitely. And I think just having faith in God is a big thing for me, to be honest. And I think it's a big thing for a lot of people.
Yeah. So talk to us about the practicalities of that then. So you're in a game, you're in a profession that's pretty cutthroat, and the culture's not always easy for guys who are believers, who are Christians and have belief of any faith, really. So how do you deal with that when you've got, obviously, the pressure of performance? You need to perform every single Saturday, otherwise people will be on your back.
Yeah.
You have injury and setback. I'm sure there's a lot of banter flying around. It's just that kind of game, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is it hard being a Christian in football for you, or is it not?
I wouldn't say so, only because in the squad there's quite a few Christians, especially. But I'd say going out on the pitch, there's obviously, well, I don't speak for every player on this, but for me, there's always a little bit of nerves because you always want to perform well. And I think just walking out there knowing that you've got God on your side and with you at all times, then you can't do wrong.
Mm.
That's what I personally believe anyway.
Yeah. And it's often a feature, Dad, isn't it, of team sports where if you have that kind of bond, and as Ollie said there, when there are other players who share your faith, as it would have been similar with us when we were playing sport, that makes a big difference, doesn't it, to motivate you and feel included?
Yeah, I think it does because, like Ollie's alluded to, if you have a purpose, if you have a moral compass or a religious compass, a point at which you know who you are, because I think it's really hard when you fail in sport. You miss an own goal or you score an own goal, or we had a couple of occasions on Saturday, Ollie, didn't we, where people made serious mistakes which led to goals.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they were picked up.
yeah, they definitely were.
And it would be like, it's on you. But if your essence is rooted in God and you know that you are loved and valued, then you've made a mistake, but it isn't who you are. It's what you've done, and you can put that right and learn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Liam and I both, in that sense, would say that our performances change when we know that it's not life and death, is it? Football, it's your job, it's your career.
Yeah.
But you're not looking to just please Tommy. It's a deeper, wider thing than that God actually asks you to be his representative on the pitch.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like you just pointed out, when you have mistakes that are on the pitch, God gives you them to test you, for one, and to learn from mistakes as well. I think that he gives you challenges in life that you have to learn from. I think life is one big lesson. You can't succeed if you don't fail. And just having that extra bit of hope and faith definitely spurs you on to be a better person as well as a better player.
Yeah, thank you. And does that include injuries and setbacks, Ollie? So that they're obviously bad news for a professional sportsman. Does that also apply that God's trying to teach you something in being laid off or getting shingles at Christmas?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely say so. I'd say injuries are all part of the game. That's part of football. But I'd say it definitely gives you patience and you learn to be patient and want to get back and be even better than you were before your injury. Because there's some injuries where some players that have had a severe injury and maybe not come back quite as the same player because maybe they've not had that bit of hope and that bit of faith that they needed to spur them on to want to be better. So I definitely say that there's a learning curve everywhere.
Yeah. I'm sure from your point of view, Ollie, you're where you are today because obviously of your skill. So you've played football from a young age. You've gone through the ranks. You are obviously talented. You've got 2 good feet. You're an athlete. How much of where you are or your skill or the fact that you're a footballer do you say, well, that's down to God versus I've worked really hard to get here? Because obviously everyone else has got there as well. He may not have a faith, but for you, is it, do you ever think it's God versus what I've done here? What's the balance between I'm just really good at football versus God's made me a good footballer?
I'd say God gave me a gift when I was young, but you have to work on the gift that he's given you, and you have to work hard for it. Because I watched a video, I'm not too sure who it was, and he said when you die, you don't want God to give you what you were supposed to be versus what you actually became from the tools and the gifts that he'd given you, because everyone is gifted at something in life, whether that's art or football, sports, athletics, like everyone's gifted at something, and you just have to you have to work at what you're given.
Yeah.
And that means outworking everyone in your path.
Yeah. It's that's great, Ollie, and it's probably a good point, Liam, just to say, just reference the Reverend Mike Pusey on our Shots pod, Liam, because I know probably, Ollie, you maybe didn't get to meet Mike, or maybe you did because he was regularly coming with help from friends. But he was a chaplain from the 70s, and a really wonderful man. And so we'd certainly like to add all our commiserations with everybody else who sent their condolences to the family and to the club, because Mike's been serving in the club and prayed for players and managers and seen a whole load of turnover. And as you know, it's a very febrile atmosphere sometimes. People get very angry, and other times it's wonderful. So it's great just to talk to you about faith, because Mike was a really faithful man, and we acknowledge him today.
Yeah. I think I may have met him briefly. We're obviously, as a club, all saddened about the passing of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like he may have. I didn't know him very personally, but he may have lived a good life and believed in what his beliefs were and are. But obviously, we're all saddened as a club as his passing.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing so articulate, Ollie, about just the personal side, because I think it's interesting. You're not just a player, are you? You're not just a footballer, and then when you go home, you get sad. There is another life that you have.
Yeah, of course.
So it's just interesting for fans to hear that you've got these interests, you've got these passions, and there's real depth to you. So appreciate you sharing that. Ollie, just to finish, let's just look forward to the bigger picture of this season. I know it's still very early, but from these early games, some of the teams doing really well, some of the major players we've got. What have you observed so far? Which teams do you think are going to be there or thereabouts at the top of the league? Obviously, with Aldershot as one. By the end of the season, who are you backing already?
Well, I'd love to back Aldershot, of course. We're definitely hoping for playoffs. We just need to work at it. But I feel like Gateshead will be up there. And I want to say Barnet too, but I don't think they've had the greatest of starts. They had a good result the other day, actually, but yeah, I'd say them too. And obviously, of course, Aldershot.
Of course. What do you think, Dad?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with both of those. Barnet are still signing players, I noted. I mean, everyone can sign players, but I noticed they signed another 2 this week. So I think there's a fair bit of finance behind Barnet. And of course, Gloves went to them, didn't he, the other week?
Yeah.
And they're playing him in a different position. They're playing him in a midfield forward role on the left. So it's quite interesting. That will be interesting when he returns to the EBB.
Yeah, it will.
But no, I think as you say, Ollie, I'd agree. Liam, Gateshead, I think Forest Green too have got fair resources, and that they'll be there or thereabouts. I would expect them to be in the playoffs, and it will be interesting to see Rochdale, because the people are talking up Rochdale this year, who've strengthened from last, and of course they're at the EBB on Saturday, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Let's hope you make the squad, Ollie.
Yeah, I mean, funnily enough, I didn't tell you this, but I was actually born in Rochdale.
Were you?
And and supported them as a kid, so I'd love to come on and score against them on Saturday. That'd be brilliant.
Oh my word! A quiet Dale supporter. That's grim.
As a kid, but there'd be no better feeling than scoring against them.
No,
I can't believe we let him on the pod, Dad.
No, I think that's definitely a Trojan horse situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So were they in Division 4 then in those days?
I think they were League 1, maybe League 2.
Okay.
When they were playing like Preston North End and teams like that.
Sorry, I forgot you're only 21. There was me thinking, but that you were older. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one knows what Div 4 is, Div 3, Div 2.
I just realised that now, just as it was coming out of my mouth. I thought that these guys know EFL and nothing before, don't they? Really, but
Yeah,
yeah.
we don't know the old first division and all that rubbish. It's just give it to us with the pyramid.
No,
Okay.
I remember the N Power League. That's about it.
It's as far back as it goes.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to Saturday. I need to say something about Eastleigh as well. Eastleigh have started really
Yeah,
strongly.
Eastleigh actually. Yeah, I think they may do quite well.
Yeah.
So we need to knock them down a peg or two.
Mm.
Not a massive fan of Eastleigh, Dad, are you? You like to see Eastleigh go down and lose?
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't wish anybody ill. But if I did, if I was such a person, Eastleigh would be high on my list.
Yeah, it was quite a bitter game when we played them at our place, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it was painful. I mean, one positive thing, Ollie, was that the fans, I don't think, turned on the team at all. You know, when we were 5-0 down last season, you know, that the fans were behind. And actually, I nipped out the back of the stand and met Mark Butler, you know, who obviously works. And Mark goes, "It's not going well, is it?" And then we heard the cheer that we'd scored another goal. Josh had scored another goal, and talking to Tommy and some of the players, we actually believe we could have won that, because in the last 20 minutes we must have had 4 or 5 chances we didn't convert. So that could have been it. But we've not beaten Eastleigh for ages, so it would be very good to make it this season.
To beat them, for sure.
Make a mark, Ollie. Mark it on your calendar. Rochdale and Eastleigh.
Rochdale and Eastleigh, and many others.
Well, we'll look out for you on Saturday for getting in the squad, a match day squad, B, getting on, and C, scoring against the Dale, which I've always felt slightly underwhelming nickname, you know, the Dale.
The Dale, yeah. Quite boring, that, isn't it? Not like the shots.
Yeah, the shots. Dream on.
Yeah, there's marginal difference between the shots and the Dale, but we'll move past that. It's pretty much the same name. But yeah, Ollie, really appreciate you joining us, mate. Thanks for your time. And as Dad said, all the best for the season, and we'll keep up with you. We'll get you on again.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.